Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I have another fabulous guest with me today. I have Erica Wiederlight, who is a pleasure-based love coach. Welcome, Erica.
Hello, welcome. I'm so excited for this. We're gonna have a great time.
We are totally. I'm really looking forward to diving into again all things tantra, pleasure, sacred sexuality, love, compassion, all of that good stuff. We're going to dive in and see where this goes, and then we'll go from there.
So I'm like the best topics ever. I'm like, the juiciest. So good.
Well, let's start with your story. Like, what do you do? How did you get here? Let's go from there.
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, so many of us feel this, right? In childhood, I was so connected to this work. And then through many circumstances, I was ripped out of this and disconnected from this. And so I
Mm,
always joke when people are like, did you see yourself going here? I'm like, no. Like this,
yeah.
like teenage me would have been like, this is my personal hell. Like what? Like I'm doing this in the world. And it's
Mm.
because I mean, so many
So
of us
what
share
is this?
this.
What is this? Let's
I
break
love
down the
this.
this.
For me, it's really holding folks to like genuinely find, which we could talk about, real self love, real embodiment. Of course, pleasure and sexual pleasure comes with that. But like for me, I was actually thinking about it this morning. I was thinking about some of my clients, and I'm like, you get such a high holding people, and it's such a gift and such a privilege. But for me, I could cry watching people go from self hatred or even neutrality to genuine self love. Like, there's
Mm.
not, I mean, what? Like, with that, there's nothing like that. And so for me, I think that's one of my biggest gifts, like pleasure, love pleasure. Talk about it all day long. Love, relationship, sexuality, hell yeah. But the self love piece, especially since I've been through my personal trials and tribulations, it's just it's profound. I feel it like in my body, how profound and how
Yeah.
meaningful it is to me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you named it because I think there's almost everyone out there dislikes themselves to a certain degree, whether it's their
Totally.
body or whether it's the way they act or the way they show up or the way they can't do things.
Yeah,
And they're constantly stuck in a silent monkey mind or little chip on the shoulder saying, you can't do this and you can't do that and you don't do that. And see, you're not good at this and see, you're not good enough and you don't deserve this and da, 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 da. And
exactly.
I know it was for me and it
Yeah.
went all day long. I think
Yep.
for years, I didn't even know it was happening until I recognized it.
Yeah. Which is huge. Like you said, most people don't even know. Right? Like before
Mhm.
I even go into like, let's go into transformation, I have to stop people and say, what's even going on? And they're like, oh my God, like I didn't even realize how I was speaking to myself, the narratives, the beliefs. I didn't know that that was there.
What do
Like,
you
of
find the most popular narratives and beliefs are if people are
ooh,
listening? Just help them
that's
recognize.
such a good one. I think wrongness is like if I had to
Mm.
umbrella wrongness and then parse out, right? So I'm the wrong weight. I'm doing this wrong. It's just genuine or general, I should say, wrongness. Like you said,
Doubt. Yeah.
doubt. Yep. Yep. Like walking
Judgment.
through, exactly, walking through the world. I'm
I'm not
wrong.
good enough. I can't speak right. I can't talk right. I can't write right. I can't even be a good mother, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
that comes out too. I can't even, I'm not even a good wife. I can't communicate, like all of those, different doubts,
Yeah.
fears,
Exactly.
judgments.
Which
Mhm.
blend, as you know, same, but into the worthiness, into the deserving, because there's so much judgment and there's so much shame.
Mm, mm.
So
So this
that,
is what you
yeah,
feel you were meant for, even as
I
a child,
do.
looking back now.
I do. And again, I quick background, and I still, because this is part of my work, right? Like part of my work is helping people have a life that they're obsessed with. And for many years, I was ashamed because I did acting my whole life. And so I would go back and forth. I have stories on stories. I'd walk labyrinths and I'd be like, acting or this business, acting or this business. And part of this work, talk about Tantra too, is that why can't it be everything? I held a lot of shame, talk about wrongness of you're not a good business person if you do acting, or if you're going to be an actress and do this. And so I held a lot of wrongness. And I've
Mm,
come to peace of, I'm holding people to have their best life. This is my best life. Like, this is my best life, to be all of it, to have all of this in my life. Um, but I bring that up because in the beginning it was just acting. And so that was all it ever was since I was 8 years old. And I had my eye on the prize. Nothing was going to stop me. And this shocked me because I'm like, what is this? Like, what
mm,
is this? And I quite literally felt like I had to. Like, I had no choice. And I remember people like, you should start a business. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm just having people over, essentially giving a workshop. Or no, no, no. I'm just working with this one-on-one coaching. No, no, no. Like, I was resisting the title because I'm like, I'm an actress. I'm an actress. But it organically kind of had to move through me.
How did it move through you? What was your own journey with
Ooh.
tantra? And
Oh,
how would you break down tantra? What is tantra to you?
that's such a good question. So for me, it was flirting with me for many years. And I have such a specific memory too. I was doing more general life coaching for many years, which was fabulous. It was great. It helped so many people, and helped myself, honestly. And I knew, like, if this tantra was flirting with me, pleasure, like this work. And I remember I had this Buddha over my bed, and I remember I had a flash, like such a specific memory in my New York City apartment. I had a flash of it, of like what was to come. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Mm,
And I'm like, I know, guys. Like, I'm like, I know.
mm,
Like, I knew what was to come. And I was like, I'm scared. And then slowly I started to walk towards the path. So sensual embodiment, pleasure. Then if it, like, I really had to create a lot of safety in my body and my brain before I even got to tantra work, because
mhm.
I would not have been able to, like, that would have been tough on my nervous system. So I'm very
Yeah,
grateful that I called out. I was like, guys, I know, but can we
yeah,
do this in a soft and gentle way? And I'm very grateful that I slowly got to hold myself through getting to tantra. For me,
I
I love
totally
it,
get that. Mhm.
right? Like, it, because
I
I
had the
was like,
flash as well. I had the download of Get Ready, and I was like, "What the hell?
yeah,
Huh?
exactly. I was like, what is it? What
What
does
are
it
they
mean?
talking about?" It was like December 4th, 20 I was already coaching, but it was December 4th, 2018. I was coaching in many different ways, and this was Get Ready, and it was like,
Right, like, what I, like, have such a vivid memory of, like, that flash, and I was like, "What does this mean?" Like, and I felt all of it. I'm scared, but I was like, excited
Mm.
and like, "Thank God I've been waiting for this. I've been
And are
craving
you
this."
sure, me?
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. I'm like, "Wait," I have follow-up questions, like, are we doing
yeah.
this?" Um, but that it quite literally, and that's how I am as a human. Like, I really like to I'm a slow burn, or I feel safe when I slow burn. So I'm very grateful for my spirit crew that were like, she needs a slow burn into this. And it's funny because with my life coaching practice it was very heavily spiritually based, and I loved it. I was obsessed. And didn't it was missing that, like,
Something.
it was missing, yeah,
So it
that
was
thing.
missing, it was missing tantra then? Is that what
It
we're saying?
was,
Yeah.
yeah, it
And so what is
was.
tantra to you?
It's so funny, the first word to me is, like, everything. For
Mm,
me, it's permission giving. For me, it just allows safety. I know that's more, I'm going more woo-woo here, but it's been so permission giving for me. It's been everything. It's been freedom, acceptance. And that's honestly, I think part of the tantra work was what helped me get to that, what I was talking about before with Erica, you could be all of it.
mm,
You can express all of it. And that's helped me. Tantra, the sidebar, has helped me be in my body, take up space, which was quite miraculous coming from someone that always wanted to hide.
mm.
That was
Yeah, what else has
very
it allowed you to
powerful.
do?
Oof. Mm. Again, someone that was chronically uh, cruel to themselves and had consistent anxiety. I remember so specifically, I'm having all these memories, but I remember specifically years and years ago, I came to acceptance with, I guess I'm just going to hate my body. Like I was
Mm,
just so, it was just every day so heavy, every moment of the freaking day. And so I was like, this is enough. Like, enough. I guess this is just what it is. And the fact that this work has taken me to a place of genuine love and genuine embodiment is wild, right? From both the
mhm,
self hatred portion, but the anxiety. Because I had so
mhm,
much anxiety, it was not safe to be in my body. I had so much self hatred. The voices were so loud to, you don't get to be in your body. What the heck is even being in your body? What does that even mean?
mhm,
And my brain was so disordered. And I have such compassion for that part of me that I didn't see value in being embodied. Because the only
mm,
right, like the only reason I would want to be embodied is then, do I get to look like this? So it was, I wanted an exchange. So my little ego there was like, I'll do embodiment if I get this, if I look like this. And this work held me as I deepened in to what I really needed. And again, for someone that has experienced so much shame and hatred, I'm now I'm not, but still like, I can't believe I'm here. And I'm so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful because it
mm.
was
There's
hard. It
such
was
a
heavy.
freedom. It's such a freedom to literally come home in your body and to your truth and to who you are, and then also to this deep, deep body love and reverence for what you hold. It is very powerful, and I think every single human, I was going to say woman or girl, but every single human needs to feel that. There's such this constant criticism going on over and over and over in society and media and even each other of you need to be better, you need to change, you're not good enough, there's something wrong with you, get better, do better. And there is no, like, what if you are absolutely perfect the way you are? What if you are absolutely worthy and deserving and perfect?
Yeah.
I got to come back to the word perfect as you are. And instead, we go from that place. That doesn't mean that you don't continue to self improve and take care of your body or take care of your mind or your growth or your healing. It's coming back to actual that neutrality and then love and compassion, and then going from there
Yes.
with love and compassion and creating. There's such freedom, there's such reverence, there's such joy, there's such life, that the other way was kind of strangling me. It was like holding me underwater, right? It was drowning me. It was
Yeah.
killing
You,
me. Yeah.
that makes me want to cry. I'm like, oh my God. It's super powerful. You said something and my ADHD took me in a different direction, but yeah, I everything you're saying is really landing for me. And again, what a gift that this has been for
Hmm.
us. And like you said, every human deserves it.
Everyone. And you keep referencing, this work and this work. Let's break down, what is this work? What is it? If people are like, well, what are we
Yes.
doing? Like,
Yes.
what is this tantric work? What is the work?
Totally. So for me, and I'm laughing at my brain. I'm like, oh, I want to hold on to that thought that I lost, but we're going.
It'll come back.
It'll come
It'll
back.
come back. Trust it.
Perfect timing. Um, for me, this work is being embodied, having a relationship to pleasure, having a relationship to my spirituality. Oh, this is it. Here it is. I again talking about here. You always got to trust it. Yeah, I'm like comes back at the perfect time. My spiritual practice, right? Like I talked about before, pre this. I was learning, yoga and this and that was all about love. Mary Magdalene, lead from love, lead from love, lead from love. And it was so glaring in my face, right? That I was like showing up as love. I was showing up as love. I was holding space and like da 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 da. And then I do that in the world, show up as love, show up as this. And then I'd go back and I'd crucify myself.
Mm.
And that was so stark. I was like, this is whoa. And so I wanted to just call that out, that that really jarred me, jolted me. My integrity button got pushed because it's like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like you're helping people, even as a friend, find love for themselves or lead with love in situations. I was really big into, like I said, yoga, Course in Miracles, love, 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 love. What? Where was that for me? Where, you know, like
Mm.
the where
That happens a
close,
lot.
yeah, closed
I
up
find that
shop.
happens a lot where we can be with somebody, which is why in relationship, whether it's partnership or just with a sister or a sibling or a friend or a mother, we can be with somebody and we're mirroring back and forth where we're like, oh, I can see what's going on there. It's da, 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 and you need to, take care of this and take care of that. But then we actually don't turn and put it back on ourselves. We struggle when it
Yeah.
comes to give ourselves the same permission, the same compassion, the same love, the same grace, the same understanding, um, the same acceptance, the lack of judgment, right? We actually struggle giving it back to ourselves. So sometimes I will help clients, look at their child instead. And it's like, would you talk to, your little 4-year-old that way? Would you talk to, this one that way? It can be really tricky in the beginning to catch it. But once you start seeing it, you're like, oh, I have the exact same advice
Yep.
and suggestions for people in front of me that I actually need for myself.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's what I was going to bring up was okay. And I love kids, but I have two nephews and they were really young at the time. And they really helped with that process because would I ever talk to? Absolutely not. That is, and would I let anyone talk to my inner child? It's funny. I'm laughing. I have a little picture of me actually right next to me right now because I have little pictures of me around the house as a
Yeah, you can use
reminder.
that too. That's a great
Yeah,
idea. I love that
right.
idea.
So she's sitting there. That is abuse. That is not acceptable. That's inappropriate. And whoa, I cannot believe I'm treating that little angel baby. I can't believe I'm treating her like that. And that
Mm,
was a huge part of the inner child work for me was revolutionary in my self-love journey. Would I ever treat her like
mhm.
that? No, that is so inappropriate. And that,
Inner
can
child work is powerful.
it's
It is,
so,
it's,
ooh,
it is so powerful and it allows us to hold, I think, almost everything. If we keep going back through our triggers and through our activations, whether it was from somebody else or from ourselves or just from life, and if we learn how to hold our inner child the way that we needed to be held when we were
yes.
little, with love, compassion, acceptance, being seen, no judgment, right? That
Oh,
just in this way, we can handle anything. We actually can navigate and heal, and we can handle anything else that life throws at us today. Because 99%, I'd say, of our triggers today as adults, that's as adults, are from our inner child,
yep. It's so true. Anything I do that's hard, or really
something
anything,
that
but
happened.
yeah, exactly. Anything I do that's hard, I like have to hold that piece of me. Like, it's okay. I got you. Like, right? They're freaking out. They're having so I so agree that the things that I've gone through that I thought I never could before this work, I think is because of learning how to hold myself, learning how to hold my inner child, having that love and compassion. Because otherwise, it would have been it would have been hard. And it still is hard,
Mhm.
but I think that's a huge key in the self love piece. We can't avoid it.
Absolutely. Yes, because basically, anytime it could be your sibling took your toy, but you got in trouble for taking it back, right? It could be something so what we would consider minute as an adult, but looking back where we felt attacked, where we felt not loved, where we felt not taken care of, where we felt abandoned, where we felt that we weren't good enough. And our brains are different as children in that we can't think, even if parents got divorced, mine did when I was very little, and we can't make sense of what's happening. So we put other meaning to it. So I remember when my parents got divorced, I was like 5, give or take. And I remember some of the thoughts were, I promise I will clean my room. I promise
Mhm.
I will pick up my toys. I promise I will be better. I promise I will be good to my sister if you will just come back. Like there was this bargaining and negotiating in my brain
Yeah.
of, I will be better. Obviously, I wasn't good enough. There's
Yes.
something wrong with me. I will do better. And that is what a little 5-year-old brain thinks. So then what is the word? Move that into your adulthood.
Yeah.
And then we show up people pleasing. We can show up over giving, giving, giving. Absolutely. I got this. I got this. I got this. And in the meantime, we have no energy or no time for self. We're burnt out. We actually don't want to do that, but we're doing it because we have to.
Yeah.
It can show up. Oh my gosh, there's so many different ways. People pleasing, not speaking our truth because we're afraid if we speak our truth, somebody won't love us and then we're going to lose love again. And it's very subconscious, right? It's very
Right.
subconscious, but every single adult listening right now, unless you've started to do some of this work with inner children, parts work, healing work, tantra work, all of this kind of stuff, unless you've started to do this work, these are the programs, these are the patterns that are actually running your adult life, and you don't even know it until you go, oh, what is that about? Where did that come from? What's underneath
Yes.
that? And it involves, for me, at least with working with myself and with my clients, creating safety in our bodies, creating trust, creating an opportunity to be open, to be curious, to explore what need I needed either now or back then that wasn't met, and then meeting myself on my own because we actually can meet ourselves and provide everything we ever needed then and today. But we have to relearn how to hold ourselves and to recognize when these little parts are running the show and not our adult selves are running the show.
Right. It's so powerful. I don't know about you, but when I first got reintroduced, or the time that I really went in with the inner child work, I was like, I don't know. I think I know that. Like my brain was very cute. Like I was like, I know this. Yeah, 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 yeah. I know. It was me resisting, which is totally cool and totally acceptable. But when I went,
Resistance. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
oh, and the avoidance parts of me was like, I know, I got this. I'm good. I know the psychology of why we're doing this. And I was like, okay, Erica. And wow, when I went in, and like you said, I connected things of, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. I had no idea, but this tracks to this, tracks to this, and it's powerful. And like we said, to re-highlight this, I have been able to hold myself through things I never thought I would ever be able to handle. I think that was a story
Yeah.
for a very long
What
time.
would have
Yeah.
been the alternative? What would have been the alternative? Depression, anxiety, not
Yeah.
doing things that you wanted.
Yeah. And I think there was a sort within my history and programming and all the things. I just, again, like that time that I sat with myself, I was like, I guess I'm going to hate myself forever. There was a thing in me, like, if really, really hard things, I'm just not going to be able to handle it. Like, there was that thing inside of me that I was like, I can't handle hard things. I can't, like, that was just so alive inside of me from many different places.
What did it
And,
stop you from doing since you had this
oh,
belief that I can't handle hard things?
life,
Mm.
life. You know what I mean? Like, sure, big things that we could think of, oh, those grandiose, everything. I'm thinking of even little things like, I don't want to sit on this stool because I'm scared of this. I don't want to get food in front of people because I'm scared of this. So it was taken, even I don't want to eat in front of people, to I don't want to go on this trip, or I don't want to put out this business, or I don't want to send in this audition, or I don't want to deal with this. So it went from minute to silly things, which obviously compounded over time, to ginormous things. It was not living.
Mm.
And I still have to track myself now, lovingly hold myself and be like, am I playing that out still? Like, am
I
I
like that. You
holding
said you
back?
weren't living,
No way.
so you weren't happy.
No. And in absolute panic and fear.
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
was a big block for my living. That was big for
Let's
me.
talk about that because, you mentioned resistance. Like, what is resistance and how does resistance show up? Because it's so cute how it keeps us from our best lives and our best path forward. And I find, and I've been taught this over the years, and I see it a time and time and time again, that our resistance shows up the biggest when we are on to something that is so needed for us, that is our path. And it's like this huge boulder shows up, and the boulder is a whole pile of things. It can be sabotage. It can be you don't deserve this. It can be you are not good enough for this. It can be you already know this.
Yep.
I don't need this.
Yep.
I've already done this. I've already done a ton of work. What other ways do you find resistance shows up?
Oh, well, that's again, that's been so powerful is learning. Oh, I know how my resistance comes up. It comes up in this voice. Oh, no, no. Like it comes up, like you said, it's very cute and it can be tricky. It can come up in the how I talked about before. Oh, I don't need to do this. I remember one of the most powerful pleasure programs I did. Oh, I know what they're going to be doing. I probably just don't even need to sign up like that. Um, to I'm so scared I can't. It feels like feeling of I'm going to die. Like though so for me, I also have to get clean and conscious of ooh, what is this? Is this actually my truth? And that's been powerful. Like, is this my truth or is this my fear? And I have a very rich relationship with fear. And so they come out, my self saboteur comes out in different ways, different flavors. So, like I said, some flavors it could be, I don't need this, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm hiding. And some could be, I'm just not. Like, I have different flavors and textures of my
Mm,
fear and self saboteur. And this, again, this work, but through our body of work, I've been able to, through tantra, through embodiment, through inner child work, I get more and more clear on this isn't actually mine. And I'm still
mm.
scared. This isn't mine, but I'm still terrified. Ooh, okay, E. How are we going to hold ourselves through this? Even though I'm terrified, how am I going to hold myself through this?
What do
So
you
it's,
need to move through it?
yep, what do I need? How do I hold myself?
I find a lot of the times what I need is to be heard and seen in it,
Mm, yeah,
and then just accepted
yeah,
without judgment.
yeah.
That evaporates 99% of it, just the being seen in it.
Yeah, it's so true. Because I always think, oh no, we found a thing. It's going to be
Now
a
I got to do some
whole
work.
thing. Yeah, oh my
It
gosh.
no, it might just be we found a thing.
Yes. And I'm like, oh no, it's going to be a whole thing. And then I'm like, oh, it's like, hey, this is the thing. Like you said, hearing it and seeing it, I'm like, oh, oh, okay, great. And again, I have a lot of anxiety, but avoidant patterns within me. So for me, just holding myself and not being avoidant and looking, I've been like, oh my gosh, that in itself moved the thing, like that
Mm,
shook it, um, which is
just by
super
recognizing it
powerful.
and naming it.
Yeah.
Yeah, resistance is interesting, and it shows up in so many different ways, I find, for so many different people.
Oh,
A big one is avoidance, right? It's easier to stick our head in the sand, sweep it under the carpet, not talk about it, push it down. And I did that for years. I did it for years and years and years until into my 40s. But it by resisting it, by avoiding it, it actually was toxic in my system. It created a toxicity, it created pain, it created issues in my body from thyroid, adrenals, doubt, anxiety, depression, hormone problems, you name it, high inflammation rates. It included a lot of issues in my body by pushing it down, shoving it away, ignoring it.
mhm.
And it left me feeling very much in despair, feeling like
Yes.
I was never going to be good enough or be and do what I was supposed to do in this life because I couldn't even find where the clouds parted. I couldn't find the seam to open it, right?
Yes.
So
That
it,
resonates. Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that. And
I
I think that's helpful to normalize that, right? That like we have felt, like we're talking about like the work, magic, magic, aliveness, aliveness. And for some people that may be listening to this, they're like, guys, where's the opening? And so I'm really glad that
yeah,
that you brought and you normalize that yes, we're living these magical lives. And also, I know for me too, I've been in this work for years. And sometimes I lose the opening and I have to come
Mm.
back. So I'm just want to put a little note in there, like thanks for mentioning that, because I just to normalize that sometimes we wobble, and that's par for the course.
Yeah, wobble's normal. It's part of the growth. It's part of the way, the journey forward. And then I want to break down for people who are listening. Okay, you keep talking about the work and what do you, but what do you guys do? What exactly do we
Yes.
do? Let's break that down.
Yes, I love that. Okay.
Because that is part of the resistance sometimes. I find that big boulder is
Oh,
sitting on their path and they know they need to get to the other side, but do they have to go on top of the boulder? Do they have to dig away through the boulder? Do they get to go around the boulder? Do they have to pick the boulder up and carry it on their back? What do we have to
yes.
do to get to the other side?
Oof, I love this. Okay. For me, it's funny. You were talking a little bit before, and something struck me, and actually it resonates the same is this work is a discipline.
Mm.
It's a discipline. Um, and for me, it's a devotion. And God, I can hear
I
myself
like to
kicking
use
and
the word
screaming.
practice.
Practice. Yeah.
And it's
It's
a choosing. I like the devotion, but I also like the choosing word
yes. It's
to
more forgive. Yeah.
choose myself,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
choose to be curious, to choose to lean in to my own shadows, to my own triggers, whether it's I'm triggered by something on the outside world or if it's from partnership, but choosing to be open and to
Mm,
see why that's happening
yeah.
and to see if it's meant to happen or is there something else?
Yeah. I love that. I think it's so permission giving,
Mm.
because it's like it's a choice. It's funny. We hear this a lot. Sidebar. We hear this a lot, especially in our communities, right? Like not making a choice is a choice. But I just recently got the download because I'm going through my things too, right? Peeking out of the curtain, doing my thing, and I'm celebrating that I keep coming back. I keep coming back, and I keep coming back. And I noticed I wasn't really choosing, and I wasn't really
Mm.
living again. And so I kind of was just numbing. And I had recently, like, I got again, heard this so many times, and I got it again of Erica, you not choosing is choosing. Like, and that's okay. Like, no shame, no shade in the game.
Choosing
But
not to choose. Yep.
yeah. And it was like me,
I
I was
wrote
like,
that down. Not making a
right.
choice is a choice. Yes,
It's a
absolutely.
choice. And we've heard this so many times in our world, in our community, but watching myself behave in that way, which is, again, it's so cool. But watching myself behave in that way of, I don't want to show, I'm not going to hold myself. I was making a choice, and that's okay. That's a choice I made at that time. I don't really, currently in this season, I don't really want to make that choice. So, and again, forgiving myself, giving myself permission of that was okay then. I don't really I don't really want to choose that again. I'd like to actually actively choose something else.
Because what I was doing isn't working.
It's not
And
working.
especially if you're repeating the same pattern over and over and over, it's not working. You need to
Right.
choose a different way and it's going to feel hard. But I think
Yeah.
that's the number one step is choosing.
Yeah.
Choosing, and you don't need to hit rock bottom to do this. Many people, say they need to, but I don't believe we do need to hit that. We just need to go, oh, I need to make another choice here. I get to make another choice here. Let's start the choice. And then it just kind of propels itself from there.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of my clients, that would be making the choice to look for help, to ask for
Yes.
some guidance, to start doing the work, to start opening up. I feel like clouds or balloons are coming up right now. There's all these balloons or clouds in their lives and they don't know what they mean. And to have guidance and support to start opening up these clouds of to, oh, I'm triggered by this. Oh, I am afraid of this. Oh, I'm judging myself here. If we can start opening these up and start investigating and being curious as to what's underneath them, a lot of things open up and clear that just allow us to go and do the things that we never imagined we could have ever done before, whether it's starting the new job or starting the new relationship or leaving a relationship or starting a new business or speaking our truth. Like these all start to come about and it's kind of like breadcrumbs. You just go from the next to the next to the next. That's what feels that's just kinda came through right now, and for people who are listening, like, "Yeah, but what are we doing?" First,
Yeah.
we're choosing. First, we're choosing.
Yes. Yeah, you have to.
Next, we're playing with tools and practices and
Mhm.
meditations, some inner child work, some inner parts work. We're doing breath work. We're doing somatic work, which is embodiment work. We're going into the body, seeing what's living in there, where the pressure is, whether you're feeling like, oh, I feel like I got punched in the stomach, or I feel like I can't swallow right now. We're getting curious and playing with, okay, you got triggered in this circumstance with your mother the other day. How did you feel? What
Mm,
came up? Can we
yes.
follow the breadcrumbs there to see what is underneath this? Because they're all coming up for us. All of these triggers, all of these avoidant tendencies, all of these fears, all of these shoulds, they're all coming up for us. But we have to choose to look at them. We have to choose to start to get curious with them and see why, because that is where our greatest growth lies, is through the why, through the what's in there. Let's play, let's get curious.
Yes, and I wanna add this. I think this is important. We can go on a whole but this I wanna just footnote it, put it in there is and I think you would agree, which is why the pleasure work can be so healing and revolutionary.
Hmm.
Because, you know the deal, the pleasure work could also be a soothing balm, right? Like, it could be heal but also for me, I've had to and I still and again, been in this for a long time, still have to see my resistances around feeling good, around holding
Mm.
myself. So pleasure has been, again, people are like, "Why am I doing pleasure?" And I'm like, "Sure, we know the yumminess, the being embodied, the deliciousness, but then I also love seeing the underbelly of, ooh, why don't I want this? Why does it feel uncomfortable?" Like for me, pleasure
Why am
has
I
been
punishing myself to not have what I
yes,
want?
yes. Why does this feel unsafe? How can I make it feel safe? Like the pleasure work, wow, that has opened me up in so many different ways, especially with my wrongness stories, with my worthiness, with my deserving. Oh my God, the pleasure work really opened that up because I had to instead of saying, "Oh, I'm worthy, I'm deserving," as you know, it really has us soberly looking at if I feel so worthy and deserving, am I going to give myself this gift?
Mm.
And so that has been so powerful to me. And so powerful in all the different chapters of my life, right? Like some seasons I could run towards pleasure. I'm like, I got this. In some seasons where grieving and pain, that has been new of how do I hold pleasure, right? It's all of it. How do I hold pleasure even when things are around me are devastating? How do I
Mhm.
hold that? What does that mean?
And
What
it's
stories?
super helpful too, because
Oh,
pleasure is nervous system regulating. It is grounding. It is what fills, I like to look at it as a gas tank. It fills our tank and keeps it full.
yes.
And if we let it go below half, very quickly we're below a quarter and then we're on reserves. And we don't have much capacity to hold things anymore when we're on that low of reserves. So we can use the pleasure and the embodiment and the sensuality and the fun to fill our tank and keep it full so that
Right.
we can hold so much more, so that we can heal so much more, so that we can handle life. Because let's admit it, like life's not easy. There's a lot of shit going on.
Right.
Uh, and we can't hold it all without infusing pleasure into our daily
Yes.
lives.
Yeah, and I wanna mention too, I think, and I'm sure you do this as well when I bring in new clients and they say, "I wanna work on pleasure," or we talk about that. I'm like, "Great, great, great. First and foremost, let's go through what stories and what belief systems do you hold around pleasure?" And so
Mhm.
often it's disgusting, it's a prize, after blood, sweat, and tears, especially everything going in the world. Are you freaking kidding? I'm gonna focus on pleasure, and there's tragedies, like, what? And I'm so glad that so that unlearning of we can't hold and we can't make real change without being resourced. And I know it feels painful. I've again resistant city to that, right? Like I was like, no, I'm gonna push through and but there's real truth into when I'm nourished, when I'm resourced. I always say for me, I'm in my highest integrity when I'm in pleasure because I don't need to grab from anybody. I don't need to like, "Ooh, what can I get?" Like I'm not, being weird. Like I'm not trying to grab or I'm taken care of. I'm filled up, I'm resourced, I can go out in the world and give, give, hold, and move.
Mm.
Um, and I just want to, again, bring that up because I think it's hard. That's a hard one to learn because we've been taught the opposite. So I have to remind myself and remind myself and show myself evidence of, oh my God, Erica, you showed up as a leader, you showed up as a human so much better when you were taken care of. I have to consistently remind myself of that.
Absolutely. And the other reason I also like leaning into pleasure or sacred sexuality or sexuality on the whole is I think sexuality is the biggest place all of us have been the most disempowered, like
Yes.
hard hit for thousands of years. And so it ends up being this portal where we can go through and actually find it's like this quick fix portal of finding all of the shadows, all of the triggers, all of the places that we are deeply feeling unworthy or not good enough right there in our face.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
everything else ripples out around it and starts to heal and integrate when we can heal those pieces.
Yes, you nailed it because when I talk to people like, "Why do you do that? Like, why is that part of it?" I'm like, "First of all, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. There's so many things we could talk about." But I always say we can get there so quickly through this particular portal, right? Like, oh, it's
Of
everything's
sexuality
oh my gosh, it's all right there.
because
And yeah,
it's our body, it's how we got here, it's half of who we are, it's how we experience pleasure, it's how we connect, it's how we are sensual beings, whether you want to admit it or not. We are.
right.
So the fact that we are living or moving, most of us, not, I'm not anymore, nor I'm guessing you're not anymore either, but the fact that most of us are moving through this thing called life, disconnected from our most core essence of who we are,
Yeah.
our sacred sexuality, sensuality, our body. We're moving through life without the core piece of who we are and how we got here. So before we know it, we're stuck on this hamster wheel going through the motions, judging and shaming and criticizing and not happy. Not happy in relationships, not happy in business, not happy in jobs, careers, you name it. And again, this quick portal, enter
Yep.
through body, through sexuality, through sensuality. And it's this fast portal to healing all of the parts of you and coming home to who you are and feeling truly your true authentic self and being able to trust yourself that you've got this no matter what moving forward.
Yeah, if you could tell, I have freaking tears in my eyes. I'm like,
Mm.
this is such a good reminder of why we do this. And I want to say, sometimes it's easy to be like, why did like this is why. This
Mhm.
is what this is exactly why that we do this work, that we focus, right? Even if we're not practitioners, that we have space in our life to work through this because this could be so beyond healing. This is a new way of living. Like I started to freaking live because of this work. And I mean, what bigger gift is there? And so that
Yeah.
made me really emotional because you nailed exactly why I'm so passionate about this. Again, it's who doesn't love the boas and the like I'm a theater girl. I love the boas. I love the performative aspect of it, right? And that we could talk. But like I love that, but really deeper, this is why we're here is the aliveness. Talking about tantra, the aliveness. I mean,
And
yeah, there's nothing like I didn't know I was not a not a lot. I'm not living till
yeah,
I did this
I
work.
would
I was like,
agree.
I'm good, right? Like I'm good. I have blessings.
I
Ba ba
should be
ba.
great. Look at where I live. Look at what I have. I should be grateful. Why aren't I grateful? Why do I feel guilty? Yes.
Yes, I remember
Because I
going.
wasn't living. I was
Yeah,
not living.
no, I remember going to a tantra retreat. Funny, and they were like, "What's your intention?" Everyone had these beautiful intentions, and I was like, and I didn't know at the time, but I was like, I have everything on paper, and I remember I was like, I want to be like a champagne whatever and I want to just pop off. I want to pop off the page. And really the subtext of that was I have everything on paper, but I don't feel alive.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
thank you, God, for this. Thank you that I could have this experience. And talk about too with the how we're laughing about the sex portal. As a practitioner, it's always confronting and fun when I contract, right? I'm sure you feel the same way. I'm like, okay, like let's get curious. And I think as a practitioner or someone that's just interested, right, a client through our work, anyone that's listening, it's so powerful because you could start to track. Before I had no idea. I had no idea. And then I'm like, why am I depressed? Why do I have anxiety? What's go I couldn't really track it, but now I could really track. Okay, okay, I'm in contraction. That's okay. Let's get curious. And what a gift of this work that we can notice and hold ourselves through the seasons without meaning anything, without, oh no, I'm in winter. Ah, like, okay, I'm cool. I'm in winter. How do I hold myself through this? What can we learn? Like there's something here.
What do
So I
I
want to,
need?
what do I need? Yeah, the question of the hour is always, what do I need? What do I
Yeah,
need?
I love that. I love that. Is there anything else you do with your clients that I haven't already named? So first we got to choose, then we're moving into practices, tools, meditations, inner child work, parts work, breath work, energy work, looking at our belief systems, looking at our triggers, looking at what we do need to fill our tank back up. What else? What else do you do?
Yes. Oh, that's
What am I
good.
missing?
For me, I mean,
'Cause
you
then
kind
it
of named it already, but for me, I also do movement. So sensual
Mhm,
embodiment movement. And again, some folks, I have some clients that are like, Erica, today, and again, this is so revolutionary, right? Because I have people sometimes come in their first session, they don't even want to close their eyes. Cool, let's not close our eyes. And then maybe a few weeks later, okay, I feel safe to close my eyes. And I'm starting to even notice the body sensations. I feel, my neck has pressure. I feel this. That is huge, right? Some if we haven't been tapped in. And then I have some folks it's like, okay, we want to do an embodiment and they're spinning on the pole, So it's like, and
yeah,
all of it is worthy, all of it is welcome, all of it is beautiful. It's just about coming back to ourselves. So for me, movement and it right ranges with different clients. Like I said, some people are like, I wanna can you hold me while I do, am on the pole? Can you hold me through like I quite literally want to spend some of our session doing sensual movement. And some people are like, no, ma'am. I just want to feel my toes on the floor. I just want to feel the tension in my back. I just want to feel, ooh, slight pleasure in my legs, whatever. But I just, I want to bring that to that movement for me is a big piece as
mhm,
well because it just was so
absolutely.
healing on my journey. And sidebar, I think because of my relationship to my body, but also coming from a performer background, musical theater background with dance, I'm a performer. You know what I mean? Like I know how to
Mhm.
perform. And so movement for me without the performative
Mm,
aspect
the
has been,
true authentic movement.
oh my God, such a reclamation. I mean, I've been doing this since I've been acting since I'm a kid, right? Like and being judged on this and this with my and
How perfect you're looking
how
versus that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for genuine movement, feeling,
yes.
being, breathing, sounding, approving, all of these pieces of just really who are we? And that's the thing also we should name is you know, the way I do something, the way you do something might not be the same way that a client does something. Like the whole point
Yes.
is we're teaching our clients how to find their truth, how to find what works for them, how to find what
S
they desire, how to find their own blocks, their own triggers, their own, you name it, all of it.
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful is like, hey, we have some ideas, suggestions, but the power is how do you want to hold this? We're here to guide you. We're here to support you. We're here to cheerlead you. What's your way in? And I love when clients push back and they're like, that doesn't work for me. I'm like, yes. Like I'm so let's good. Like let's get curious around what works for you because that's why we're here. We're not here for me to regurgitate information at you or things that worked for me. Like we're here just to hold you and support you and what's your truth, what's
Yeah. Yeah.
alive and real for you.
And then at the same time, we also get to look at resistance because sometimes it's
Exactly.
resistance.
Exactly. That's why I'm
Okay,
like,
a lot of the
okay.
time it's resistance,
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I have a
but
question. Is this
and that's
resistance or
okay because we still need to
yes.
gain safety and trust in your body just like that woman, I'm guessing it was a woman who could finally close her eyes a few sessions in, right? We need to
Yes.
find that safety and trust so that we can go a little bit deeper and not blow our nervous systems out the entire time, because we've had enough of nervous system blowouts for most of our lives
Oh,
because we
yeah.
haven't been taught how to hold ourselves, how to relate with ourselves, how to relate with others, how to be open, how to be truly vulnerable and show up in who we are. So it's a relearning, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful process. And if anybody's considering it, I know it feels scary and it looks scary in the beginning, but that's the biggest thing I learned. As soon as I chose, it was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this sooner? Because that was the
Yes.
hardest thing I've done, was the choosing.
Yes. Agreed.
And as soon as I did, it was like, oh, now this is fun. Even though some
Yes.
parts are hard, this is fun.
Yes. Exactly. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is good." Like, and it gets to be this good, and we get
Yeah.
to give our gift. We get to give that gift to ourselves, and I'm assuming too, if someone is this far in the conversation with us, things are sparkling.
Yeah, they
Things are
already know.
they're like, "I know. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make that choice, or I'm gonna continue to choose."
Yeah, absolutely. What do you have going on right now, Erica, that you can share? Is there anything you got going on that you want to share with people?
Yeah, all the things. So, but currently, let's talk. I can future trip about then, but currently I have a few offerings. I'm really big on free offerings. I think it's important, right, to have some things and some spaces to hold folks. So I have a podcast blog, and then I also have two resources. I like to have different touch points because some people want to talk and get in there. And like me, I was a slow burn. So I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to slow burn in. So I have different, for different folks need different things. So I also have an ebook, which is great. You don't need to talk to me. If you want to just get the resources process, I think it's great to talk, but that's available. So the ebook is actually From Perfectionist to Pleasure Expert. It's a really quick read, but it's jam packed with tools, good tools, easy tools to start to practice, and they're great. And you can get that on my website, which is wethelight.org. And then I have a free chat, and it's called the Mojo Makeover Assessment, and it's amazing. It's essentially an hour discovery call, but I really try to spend most of the time doing a real session, right? Not just like, let's talk about, no, like, for me, I really like to give back, and make sure people feel held and seen. And if something in this episode resonated, we get to talk through that. We get to play. So it's a sampling of my work. We might do a little movement. We might not. Maybe we do a meditation. Maybe we do some breath work. Maybe we just talk. But that session is all about you. And why it's called the Mojo Makeover Assessment is I always joke and I say people have seen Queer Eye for the straight guy. That's like my work is an internal makeover. So I help people when they feel dusty, crusty, or I'm overwhelmed, or like we said, like the peeking of the curtain, like I'm behind the curtain or the clouds. Great. Let's work through some of peeking through the clouds, peeking through the curtain. And that's what that hour session is how can we
Beautiful.
peek through? Yeah. No strings attached. But if we do align, we align, which is great. And you can get that on
I
my
do the
website.
same. Yeah.
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 Because
Yeah.
there's no reason for
Free
that. Yeah.
call. Let's hop on, see what you're looking for, see where you're struggling. Let's play. And if you want to hear
Yeah.
more about how we can work together, we can totally work together.
Exactly, and if it's a no, but you have someone in this flavor, of course, like, let me recommend you the work that we do is so I was saying this really briefly, I was saying this the other day is, I was like, I don't really go to traditional like, this work is so deep, I want to feel so aligned for someone, and if they need something else, hell yeah, let me help
We
you
have
get
so
there.
many people that we
Yes,
know.
exactly.
Exactly.
I'm like, you're in good hands. I will introduce you to someone else. So that's why I'm like, no pressure. And like you as well, let's hop on that call. Let's do that discovery call and see if we are in alignment.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, we will drop all of your links in the show notes as well. It's been a pleasure, of course, chatting with you for the last little while and allowing this podcast to come to the light. So thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Till next time, everyone.